Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of the Cheatcoders podcast. My name is Raph, and this is an episode for you. It's episode 104, and I am here with my usual suspect of Nats blazing all the way in London town. Say what up.
Yo, 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 what up? What?
Hey, energy is up there, man. Energy is up there. I love it because we are here having a special episode because we got three of my good mates, three of the most talented people in Western Sydney. We have Christian Joseph, Ello C, and Heartbreak Kev. What up, guys?
Thank you for having us.
Hey, how you guys been, man? How's everything been?
Good, man.
Hey. Shout outs to Don because he couldn't make it today. I don't know if he's using the excuse of Krav Maga being, martial artist and just kicking ass and getting tired afterwards. Yeah. But I think he's a bit hungover, you know what I mean? A bit hungover.
Shout out to Don, though.
He was here for like 2 seconds, and I could see the sweat of tequila coming out of his forehead. So
yeah, he looked like he looked like a very sweaty Freddie Mercury.
Hey,
with his muscle tee, yeah, with the stash and the muscle tee. He looked like a Adelaide version of it.
Yeah, Donnie Mercury.
Donnie Mercury, bro. You fucking dog. You fucking dog.
But back to you guys, man. Like. You guys, how do you know? I know your story, like Christian Joseph and Ello C, how you guys met. Mm-hmm. Quick story, you just met, how long ago?
Years, man. I think we got 10, 11 years knowing each other.
That much, yeah. One of those MSN ads.
Yeah, I think it's even
one of those ones.
It's as far back as that.
Yeah, those days.
Really?
Back in the day, man.
Shit, so that's
the
way
levels.
back.
Yeah.
But then, now you guys, you and Heartbreak Kev, Ello C and Heartbreak Kev, that's a bit more recent. Yeah. What's the story behind you guys meeting up? Tell us if it was love at first sight or anything. Or
I just feel like this is the thing. Like, I know that the scene will always change. I know that there will always be new faces that pop up, and I think that's what makes Australian hip hop really, 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 really exciting, because as we progress, new people come up and people have goals and aspirations that are that stand out, and it's kind of people just keep connecting. And what I see through Kev is just it's the same thing that I felt coming onto it as a younger person, but it's because of where I am now in life and what I've experienced and what I've known, I never had any dude just say what's up, I like your music, you know what I mean? And I think that honesty is it's something very important, especially to express to a person that's up and coming.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And I feel it was really cool because they reached out to me through social media first. And I think I had this discussion with Kev where he was he saw an old video. You know that song that we did, Roll Call, with Soul Benefits? And yeah, so he sort of caught wind of who I was back then. And to me, that's pretty cool because that was a big moment in my life.
Yeah.
I felt we did something in Western Sydney that a lot of crews weren't doing yet at the time.
Yeah. And
for him to sort of gravitate to that work, I was okay, cool. So he kind of knows a little bit, you know what I mean? And then from that, I kind of just moved forward, and I looked through what he had going on, and he was involved in this duo called 9-3 Hot Boys.
Shout outs.
Yeah. So that's Dylan Darko, and that's Heartbreak Kev. So I'll go check out their profile, I'll go check out their social media, and man, I think the first 2 singles I heard off their Spotify were fucking popping.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? There's people that kind of just say that shit and just blow ass to get clout and stuff like that because they need to stay relevant. But I really even if I didn't want anything from them, I just contacted them and was just bro, your music is epic. I think the first record I heard was Icy.
All right.
And I think that resonated with them.
And you guys dropped that video recently.
Yeah, that was about 5 days ago.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. So just play that shit. I mean, that was in the works for a while. I think that was a few months of just getting everything edited and everything just all, organized and just having everything, polished. Because the way that we work, we want everything to be just 100%. And, we want to have everything at the highest quality as, that we can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yes. So from that happening, it's kind of that initiated me sort of seeing them and getting excited for what was going on, because there's so many new artists rising in Sydney. It's it's so prominent right now to see all the wave of creativity and people. It's just becoming way more diverse. And I think seeing the combination of like 93 Hot Boys and what they were doing, it had me feeling a way where I've never felt like that with an artist or a set of artists before.
Yeah.
And so I reached out, and then I was just kind of like, yeah, your music's dope. And then likewise as well. And then we sort of just kept in contact and stuff like that.
Yeah. So and then that's when you came to a point where you created the song Zoned.
I mean,
and all three of you were involved, right? Like, tell me the story of like how that kind of transitioned.
Zoned?
To the track.
Okay, cool.
Zoned, yeah.
So fast forwarding, like I think there was like a common ground moment where I found that was really cool. I was playing Street Fighter.
Hey.
At
who are you?
Huh?
Which character were you?
I use a few, man. You know.
Which one's the one that you go to?
I like Akuma.
All right.
But if I'm using like arcade, like I'll go my go-tos like Ryu and shit.
Yeah.
And
I think like using your Street Fighter characters is like a horoscope.
Yeah.
Whoever you pick is going to describe what type of person you really are.
I mean, in a way, yeah. That's why we have those things on Instagram where it's like, which Dragon Ball Z character are you? Or
oh yeah, that thing. But like, this is you're Akuma to the core. You're kind of like a main character, but the evil version. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you do have like the combo spirit and all that stuff. But like back to Zone.
So that's the thing. It's coming to that. So I posted a picture of me playing that, and then Kev like randomly puts a comment saying, "Oh fuck, I love that game. Blah blah blah. Where is this?" And blah blah blah. So we just get to talking about video games first.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, "Fuck, man! Like, you want to make some songs? Like, you want to make some music?" And he's like, "Yeah, fucking no."
That's dope.
And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" I mean, like, you know, because in every collaboration there has to be like a common ground. I feel like you gotta get along with the person you're working with, man. You can't just like hop on songs and just be like, you do your part, I do my part, and hopefully, like, you know, that's not how I work.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta actually like sort of, you know, get along with the person in order to create, and we've initiated a lot already from that. And then next thing you know, like I was going through, because CJ, my boy, bro. Seriously, if there's an idea, if there's something, I'm always going to his profile, checking out like, well, what beats he has or whatnot. And there was this like R&B-ish type beat that I was really feeling.
Yeah, I
from
think
the
I
get-go.
posted it up on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Just a little snippet. It was actually different to the beat how it turned out. So we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit! Like, no one. I asked him, I go, has anyone bid on this one yet? And he's like, nah, no one's bid on it. Can I use it? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And then I tagged Kev on it, and then Kev was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah, nice. So like you said, like Christian just came in, so he produced the track, the Zone, one it is that it is now, and then he just mentioned that it wasn't the original beat wasn't the actual beat that came to be that everyone hears. So tell me the story of how that came from the first beat and then it transitioned into the beat that everyone's hearing now.
Yeah, so the first beat was actually inspired of Drake, one of his songs called Too Much. It's like a boom bap, trappy type of beat. It was very different, like had more boom bap elements compared to what it is now. So yeah, Ello hit me up. He's like, I like this beat, I want to write to it. He said he's gonna bring Heartbreak Kev on it. And to be honest, I haven't heard Heartbreak Kev before that moment, before Ello mentioned him to me. So I checked it out. I checked his page, 93 Hot Boys. Their stuff's pretty dope. And I noticed they had that wavy trap type of sound. So yeah, from there I'm like, okay, I'm gonna recreate the beat, keep the original element, the original chords, but make it wavy with the trap drums, influence from listening to Hot Boys music. So yeah man.
Oh, so
I wanted it to kind of,
you actually catered it.
Yeah, I wanted to like just both of them be able to just showcase their styles on the beat.
That's dope. Like a fucking tailor. Like you made a tailor made.
Much,
this
man.
beat was tailor made for these two. That's dope, man.
That's the thing about Christian though. Like you hear what he posts on Instagram, or you hear him like sort of promote a beat that he's made, and like the best thing about that is that he always finds a way to customize it to the artist. Like you capture it and it's like, okay, cool. I feel this vibe. Boom, boom, boom. I want to work on this beat, and this is what I've got for it. And then he'll flip it, but not in a way where it makes it completely different. He just customizes it to get the best out of the artist. And that's what good producers do, man. Like, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, yeah, that's to
I mean, I've known this guy for years, so that's basically what Zone was coming towards, you know? Yeah. He wanted to make the beat sort of like, not completely different, but just amplify what you said before.
Pretty
like,
much, man, yeah.
Get the best out of the both of us.
Exactly, yeah.
Man, so did you guys work in the same like creative space, or was it still like
it
three
was-
different spaces?
It was sponsored by Google Drive
yeah.
and fucking
Oh, man.
Instagram DMs.
All the exchanges on Google Drive.
Yeah.
Freaking version 6. Oh man.
Yeah,
But
we-
still, even though you were in three different separate like studio spaces and stuff, you still had a time to just talk through like the collaboration of what would make the track better. Like,
Yeah, but-
like you had, instead of just like sending verses to each other, right?
Exactly, and that's the best thing about technology today, and like being able to communicate ideas. And I think the bonus and the extra bit was the thing that wasn't sort of artificial and organic was that we were all on the same wave mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once I recorded a rough like on the idea and the concept of the record, and just put the idea down, I sent it to Kev, and it only took him like 24 hours to come up with something. But then it was pretty funny because like I wrote the hook first, and it was the first half of the hook, and then I sent it to Kev, and he sort of wrote a hook to it as well. So we were in that turning point right now. So I sent it to Christian, and then his input was like, look, I think Ello should cut his hook in half, and we can combine the other half of Kevin's hook to sort of alley-oop it.
Oh shit.
Because this guy was on a higher octave than me.
Yeah.
All I had to do was just roll it out and sort of like set the tone, but this guy was gonna lift it up. So
So
basically,
is there like lost versions of the full hooks?
yeah. Well, I still
lost
have
tapes.
them. It was pretty like loose, like the second half of the hook, because I didn't know where the song was gonna go. Like I think with this kind of record, the most important part is the hook. And this guy's a machine at hooks, and Christian knows a lot about catchy hooks, and like I'm in and out, like I soak in the knowledge from people that know a lot about hooks, and I just get their opinion. And I felt like when Christian said that, you got to sort of switch it up to sort of accommodate Kev to like push the end of it.
Yeah.
That's when it was like, yeah, we got something here.
Damn.
Because it's not a record where it's like, okay, Kev's gonna do the hook and then I'm just gonna rap.
Yeah.
Like if you notice on the record, like it's like half. Like I'm on the hook, Kev's on the hook, Kev's on the verse, then I'm on a verse. Like everybody equally gets, a platform to express themselves on the record.
Now I want to get to like Kev's point of view of like, I want to get to your background as well, because like you're kind of like new, or you've been doing it for a while, but in the scene I think you're a bit more fresh. Because these guys are more, like they're all marinated and seasoned. They're already doing their thing, but like your story is quite fresh to me. So, like, how did you come about into the scene and getting into music?
Well, it started probably two years ago, or maybe 3 years now. I decided to get back into music. I've been making music since I was 14, but that was kind of more on and off.
Yep.
And like it was just all me doing by myself, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I kind of like put that aside and worked on my career.
Yeah.
But yeah, decided to do music again because I was hearing a lot of like good stuff coming out, and especially with the autotune wavy stuff, and that's like type of stuff that I was really gravitating towards too. And like I love that melodic type of stuff, and I decided to give a crack at it. And it took a lot of time and practice to get my sound to where it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's around like probably a year after. That's where I met Dylan, the other half of 93 Hot Boys, and he was on the same type of wave. And he reached out to me through like a song that I did early when I first started again. But yeah, and then we just started linking up at his place in Mona Vale, and we started recording. We got better equipment, and just started establishing our own sound. Basically,
It's crazy. Did you rap first, or did you go straight into the melodic stuff?
At first, I was trying to get back into just like rap,
Yeah.
like boom bap type of stuff, because that's what I grew up on, and
Yeah.
that's like what I came up on when I first started when I was 14. And I wanted to be more melodic and wavy and stuff like that, and I felt like I had a grasp on lyrics, and I could put bars together and everything like that. So I decided why don't I combine both? And yeah, Dylan like got on board with it. We became a duo, and we've been together ever since.
That's
And
crazy.
it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah.
We've done like
It's crazy.
quite a lot of shows for a couple of guys that haven't been doing this for long, with not much backing. And we're just trying to push our stuff as much as we can, and we just want people to hear our music. Like I don't really care if if people don't like it, I just want to do what makes me happy creatively.
Yeah, I respect that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Also, like, how old are you?
I'm 26, turning 27.
26, so you're mid-20s. All right, cool. And like, I like the thing that you just mentioned, how you tried the boom bap rap and all. And it's interesting to the fact that you actually doing the boom bap rap, and then you decided to go all wavy and then doing the melodic stuff. Because sometimes for people who, from my experience, like rappers who do the boom bap rap, they just stick to that, or like they do something similar and they're stuck in like in a certain era of hip hop. But you just went from that era into a modern era, which is the wavy, like melodic sounds, and you do have a good sound, and that's like, it's friggin' awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
like it's crazy. Like, what made you decide to go to the wavy side from boom bap? Like, what attracted you more, or like did you want? You said that you wanted to blend the two.
Yeah.
So like, what's your thoughts on like that when you transitioned? How did that happen?
Basically, it got to a point where like, when I was doing the boom bap, it wasn't like I felt like it wasn't what I wanted to do creatively. I wanted to do more like something that was more sonically pleasing with like melodies and stuff. And like it's easy to make a melody if you practice enough. And same with like, rapping. But like anyone can make a melody with auto-tune basically and make it sound good. But it's different when you're able to put words together that mean something in a wavy, melodic type of way. So like I think the way I'm doing it is like also, with the Australian accent as well. It's different, and we have such a unique accent in Australia, and I think it should be embraced more. And I feel like a lot of artists in Australia need to start using their accents like that they grew up with basically. Yeah. Like I understand that there's a big influence from the US, but Australia is doing their own thing, and I think we're becoming we're making our own sound, we're using our own accents, and it's been like it's been a big year last year actually, with everything that was happening, 1-4, Hefs, what else, Chillin' It, Husky, all of them boys, like they just embrace their voices, and they've made the most, amazing music Australia has probably seen.
For a long time, bro.
Yeah, for a long time.
I agree with that.
Before that was like 360 and Cursor, but it really made a big, step up.
Yeah.
last
B-Wise
year.
as well. He always kept his
B-Wise.
accent, right? Nats, you knew B-Wise from way back. Like when he was
Shout out to
young.
B-Wise. We need to get you on the show, man.
Yeah, he held
he was
his accent
consistent,
down.
bro. He's
Shouts
Yeah.
to B-Wise and all the other rising Sydney hip hop artists that are friggin' paving the lane.
I wonder if they have the accent debate in other countries. Like Nats, you're in London.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do they have that type of thing? Because like in Sydney, like it's a constant debate.
It's a big one.
It's a big debate. One of
It's
the
a big one.
if you're a rapper in Sydney, you're gonna
Yeah.
face this accent debate that's gonna keep going on and on. I don't think it's gonna end. Is it like that in the UK? Do you have a insight?
Well, the thing is, like, in the as you know, like they sort of. I wasn't here during the time that the UK scene blew up, kind of thing. But I think they're a bit a step ahead in that sense that they've embraced their accents. That's why they've got that whole their whole grime movement and all that as well. I don't know, like they're just they've got their own thing, and I think like what you guys have mentioned, we're finally finding our sound using our own accents, and it's becoming more accepted in the mainstream. Like how Ello was mentioning before, it was like the Cursors, the 360s. That's all we had, but now it's like it's becoming like it's just transitioning. I feel like it's a great moment to be in music, and especially in Australia, the stuff that's coming out there, it's pretty dope. And I think with the impact, like there's drill rappers from Mount Druitt, and it's becoming more noticed globally. Like people have heard of it here, and I'm like, damn, because like I'm following it myself, and then the word's getting around. It just goes to show, like sometimes it's hard to see because back in Sydney we're so far away, right? Sometimes it feels like, damn, do people even notice us? We're like in this bubble in the corner of the world, so far away from the global economy, and then it's hard to like be motivated sometimes. It's like, fuck man, is this as far as we go? But with all the new, like, we're probably going to get into this subject soon, but with how music's distributed these days, it brings the whole world together. Like there's not that disconnect. Like we're doing a fucking podcast right now, and I'm like in London talking to you guys. It's that kind of it's that kind of like the times are now that brings everything together. So I think that has a lot to do with people like, you know what, we don't need to sound American or try and be something we're not. Just do us, and people will hear us. It doesn't mean You know, the internet's connected everyone.
This is a good conversation that we're just stumbled upon. The accent debate. Like we've talked about it before in private conversations, our thoughts now, and when we even had it like 5 years ago, and I'm pretty sure our thoughts now are completely different 5 years ago. Like when I did rap before, I used an American accent and stuff.
But you were the first to start switching it up, though.
Yeah, I was trying to switch it up as much as possible because I felt more
friends.
comfortable just want to being myself. Because like as a hip hop artist, you always want to try and be as authentic as possible. But that obstacle, like that thing of using an accent is like it's confusing for us because as a Filipino, you do dwell into that realm in the accent because like even when I speak normally, like people just think that I come across as an American because of the way that I talk. But then now it's going to be more confusing when I rap. And it's like, is this guy really American or not? You know, like you've experienced too, because like people would like mistaken your accent for.
Well, I started off with an American accent. I'm not going to lie. Like that's how I was introduced to hip hop. And I think that's just what I knew, you know, how like that was just the way that I was painting my pictures, like with the American sort of accent. And then like when I got into the duo stuff with Lee, when it came to like our third project, like, you know, as you grow older, you start sort of asking yourself like, what is this shit? Like, you know, like when, you know, besides all the flexing and the bars and all that, you know, just making music, like real cool music, like, are you going to put yourself into your music 100%, or are you just going to sort of hide behind this sort of paintbrush? Because everyone expresses themselves in different ways. Like in this debate, I don't stand on any side. Like if a dude chooses to use American accents,
I respect
what I really appreciate always is the content, like what they're talking about, what they're representing, and what are they trying to, like the message in their music. And I feel like if a dude needs to do that in his own accent, I mean, if the music's good, it's good, right? Like, so I started sort of asking myself that, and then I was like, you know what, like, yeah, you know, I'm a Filipino dude from New Zealand that grew up in West Sydney. There's a certain way that I talk. Like, there's ways where like I would sound like American because of the Filipino background. Because you know, for Filipinos, it's kind of always going to link to like an American sort of. Yeah. I don't know, what do they call it? Like Taglish, where it's like half Tagalog and half English. Tagalog is the
spoken language.
The spoken language of the Filipinos.
It's a dialect in the Philippines.
Represent. So like, yeah, and then there's certain like sort of there's certain terms that I use because I grew up in New Zealand. You know what I mean? And then there's certain sort of words that I use like because I grew up in West Sydney. So I just decided, you know what, why don't I just do it how I do it, and like not try and do something that, like what Nat said, like not try and do something that's just part of this like big wave that everyone's riding. And I mean, not many people are gonna get it, but the people that do relate to it will, you know what I mean? It's yourself. It's who you are.
Yeah. In terms of like reasons for people saying, oh, I use an American accent because like if you're a singer, what type of accent do they use? They use an American. They always say that. Always point to that. But for some reason, hip hop is it's an authentic genre in itself that this without if it was a perfect world and then we're going to compare if the two things are like singing and rapping are the same thing, this debate wouldn't happen in the first place. So I think authenticity is so important in hip hop that it goes down to the nitty gritty, even onto your accent, which is crazy. But like for me, I don't care what accent you use. If the content is great, the content is great. But I can understand on a listener's point of view or other artists in the area saying like you should use the accent because hip hop has always been raised on authenticity and being real, like consistently. But you know, I do get that, and like I'm not gonna be mad if someone changes their accent out of nowhere because like I've seen a couple of videos where they're like, oh, this is not the accent you used in the last song. And they're just, you know, it's like what happened and stuff. But like they make jokes about it. But to me, it's like if the content is great. The content's great. Content will always rule everything. But it like if I get it when a listener is like have that E and they be like they're picking out everything that they want because that, you know, at the end of the day you can't change what a listener listens to.
They like what they like.
They like what they like.
What do you reckon, CJ? Like I've had brief conversations with you about this.
Nah, yeah, it was a bit weird because, you know, I used to do a lot of singing before and like you said, like there was no debate in the singing style. But I don't know, man. Like you said, if it sounds good, it sounds good. It doesn't matter what accent you use, but it's good to be authentic. you know, what type of music you want to bring out. Yeah.
What about with rap, bro? Like, do you
as a
feel like,
listener, do you like, if you see, are you more so a person that listens to the content, but if the content is good but the accent is kind of, you know, that it's fake, do you just count out the content that's been said?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. I reckon. No, I don't count it out, man. Like, it could be like you said. You know, Philos grew up on the American culture, American type of accent, and I don't know. Like, if you just depends. You don't. Me as a listener, yeah. If it sounds good, man. It doesn't matter what accent. To be honest, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's more so like, I think all of us will consider that content will take over, but if you're like, maybe the accent could be a bonus type of thing. Maybe it might.
I feel like the accent's what's pushing it now. Like what Kev said, like it's given us global perspective. Like, it's given us like a global audience now. People are like, oh, these guys are from Sydney, Australia.
Yeah,
I mean, that helps out a lot, you know. Like,
but then again, I don't think like, to be honest, like I'm listening to thoughts and people who don't listen to hip hop religiously,
right?
And their thoughts on the accent is completely different to us. Like, we accept it.
What was that?
But then you hear someone who's like more so into the mainstream stuff and they're done into music per se. They just listen to it in the car and they hear an accent. They just think that, you know, it doesn't sound good.
Nah,
It's
you know
funny.
what it is.
It's funny that way.
No, it's funny as well because I'm talking to my girlfriend about this. She doesn't like the Aussie music, the Aussie accent. Like, she actually hates it.
Yeah,
but she's Australian. Like, it's funny, you know. Like,
like, and that's what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, I think it depends on the style as well. So with real hip hop, like maybe per se, like the boom bap type stuff, that would be a bit more judged, because anything with like really intricate lyricism, if you're like saying a bunch of shit and you're saying it with conviction, you got to be on point with who you are as well. So I think the accent would matter a lot more in that sense. But when it comes to like, you know, just music, making something that sonically sounds good, this can go both ways for rappers doing mainstream stuff, for singers and all other subgenres of the culture. I think that it doesn't really matter as much. Like, you know, you can, it's for the sound. You're trying to capture an audience, a market, to please them, for the vibe altogether. That's what I think anyway. But yeah,
I'm interested to hear, like, if there's anyone out there who has listened to a song with the Australian accent that isn't, and you are not Australian, like if you're from the UK or from the US, I want to hear your thoughts in terms of like, how do you perceive and how do you if you like sonically the Australian accent? Because I just think like people in Australia are just biased on like the accent. They just hear it constantly, and then, or they hear the American sound constantly, and they hear something that just pops and it's the Australian accent, and it's like, what is this? What's going on? I just want to hear someone else's perspective that's pretty much that's used to the American accent as a whole, and they just hear a song and it has an Australian accent. I think that'll be interesting too.
Like a react. Well, you can watch the reaction videos of like when the Americans sort of react to like 1-4 videos or Hef's videos. Like there's certain words that they don't understand, so they like, you know, people comment them on what they really mean. Yeah, kind of thing, and that's like the disconnect. But then they learn so much from it because it's like that's what's going on over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's so much to touch on in terms of like the undiscovered stuff in terms of hip hop on a global scale.
Yeah, 100. Like
because like just hearing the accent, like from I think we can only hear the British accent and the Australian accent per se. Like if we have hip hop as a whole and then embracing their accents, we might just get this whole undiscovered like culture.
Well, that's what's going to push it forward, I guess. Like just individuality and people standing out from the way they sound. I mean, that's how we progress, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also paying homage of like what's come by and what's began the whole hip hop thing in the first place, which is back in New York in America, and then that's how it started. We respect that, and you know, and then 100%. Of course, and we just, you know, it's hip hop has just turned into a global genre.
Hip hop is one of those genres that have so many subgenres. And that's what people don't understand though. Like, you know, a lot of purists would get mad at me and say like, you know, hip hop is supposed to be this and that, or you're supposed to have bars, or you know what I mean? Or I only listen to hip hop for the vibes, you know what I mean? Like no one is ever wrong in these conversations. I feel like there's just so many such subgenres that if you like something, that's just the type of hip hop that you like, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be sections now. Like you have stuff that's like sort of more modern age, and then you got the classical stuff, and then you got the alternative stuff, and you got some experimental stuff,
And
like,
everything in between. Like,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's what pushes fucking music forward, bro. Like, and I really don't like it in discussions where like people always rant about how like hip hop is not like how it used to be and blah blah blah. When I'm like, well, they fucking said that about us when we were young, like the older generation. Like, what the fuck is this hip hop shit? And now it's like the biggest genre in the fucking universe. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good point that you brought up, because what I wanted to talk about was old school hip hop versus new school hip hop.
I could get in trouble for this conversation, bro.
But it's a good conversation to have.
I'm just joking.
All the conversations
I'm
that
just
you know
joking.
people like start building their opinions. They're conversations that we need to have, and this is a constant, like the accent debate. This has been a constant thing. It just seems like the old school versus new school. There's always a divide between the two sounds, and then we mentioned that you had the whole boom bap influence, and then you decided to move on and trying to blend it with the new school sound when you're doing the melodic tunes and everything. And that's an interesting thing as well, because that's a blend that we rarely see. And
Who was your favorite like rapper? I've never asked you this. Like coming up, like your 14-year-old Kev, like what was he listening to that inspired him to like write raps?
Yeah, honestly, like when I first started making music, like my biggest inspiration at that time was Eminem.
Wow.
Fuck.
Yeah, Eminem. Like all the stuff back then from the Eminem show was like,
That's
that was my
cool.
favorite shit. Like my first CD
Yeah.
I ever got was like Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
And 8 Mile was
That's
such a fire movie. That movie was
all right,
like
cool. Yeah, so we have the right people in the room to discuss his new
Yeah.
album later on.
Yeah.
All right, good. Everyone's listened to it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's
I
got their
listened to it,
thoughts,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You haven't listened to it yet.
Nah, bro.
Nats. All right, cool.
I'll
We
tell
can't
you
have
why.
the
I'll tell
discussion.
you why later. I'll tell you why.
All right, we'll talk. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. But new school versus old school. Like, what's your thoughts on like the ongoing battle that continues on? Why do you think this is happening? Why do you think people are more in tune, or people be like, oh, I'm into the old school, and you know, old school is the only school, and then new school, they'd be like, oh, I only listen to new stuff. It's like, why can't we be friends? You know, why can't we
Yeah.
enjoy everything?
Fuck, man, that's a big one. I mean, wait, before I start this, who was your favorite? Like, who was
Me?
your first rapper like that you heard?
Man,
that's
like,
kinda
because I listened to R&B growing up, so
Yeah.
when I finally found out about rap,
yeah.
man, it was when Ja Rule was killing it.
Okay.
When
So you're on that.
so
era.
that's when
okay. All right.
so that was my first impression of rap. Like, and then only recently I actually found out about like Tribe Called Quest and all the old school
You
rappers.
see the pattern here? Like his experience with hip hop was Eminem. His experience with hip hop was like what Ja Rule. And mine would be the same as Nat's. Hopefully, like 50 Cent. Like, you know, they're all from the same sort of like fucking era. There was a point in time where like those like artists were like on the top of their game, and like you didn't hear any of us say stuff like I used to listen. Like the first thing I heard was like Wu-Tang or Big L or Big Pun, or you know what I mean. Like we all sort of had that first experience with these kind of artists, and then from then on you develop like a love,
Back catalog. Yeah.
and then you back
Kinda like, yeah,
catalog,
backtrack
right?
a
Like
bit.
isn't that what you guys did? Like I felt like I found out about Wu-Tang heaps later, man.
Yeah,
like
same.
almost like I was already graduated from high school when I started listening to fucking 36 Chambers and you know Big L and you know Illmatic and all that kind of stuff. I was just getting onto Jay-Z, but Jay-Z was already forward past his discography where he was up to like Fade to Black. He was already retiring,
Yeah.
you know, and we just back catalog, you know what I mean? And I feel like naturally like we're on this like sort of level where we're in the middle, where it's kind of like we understand where the young perspective is coming from, because like picture this, like we were sort of born in that era where Tupac and Biggie were still sort of like I found out about that shit when I was in primary school, man. Like I couldn't really put it together in my head why it was such a big thing back then, but you find out later on that, you know,
Yeah,
that's a big thing, right?
yeah.
And so the whole like educating yourself and like back cataloging and hearing the history of hip hop, it sort of just depends on your preference and how it affects your life. And so like imagine coming through and like being born today. I mean, who are you gonna know in hip hop that like sort of like you're gonna know like Drake,
Yeah.
You're gonna know Kendrick. You're gonna know J. Cole. You know what I mean? Like further down you go, you're gonna know like Travis Scott. You know what I mean?
Eventually, they're gonna be old school.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eventually.
imagine being born now. You're not gonna know who Mac Miller is. Like you're gonna have to go back and be like, who's this Mac Miller guy? You know what I mean? So I feel like it just really depends on the era you were born in and how hip hop sort of approached you and where it was at when you were growing up.
Yeah, I think I can understand that. I can understand that as like going back catalog, but
That's the beauty.
I think it's a bit harder for people to go forward catalog for some reason. As in, like people like you can go back and then respect what's coming from the past, but then that's also a debate in itself. But also, people just tend to like people. I don't know. For some reason, people seem to shut down new things.
What do you call them? The old heads that just love
You got old heads, you got new heads. I don't know what it is, but like eventually, like what all the artists you mentioned, everyone now considers Jarrell old school. Everyone considers Eminem old school. The way you think about it, like he's a debate in himself. But like, it's just eventually like everything seems to be shutting down anything that's new or mainstream.
Well, I feel like it's a reflection on society, bro. Like I feel like in the early 90s there was a lot of like oppression and there was a lot of points to be made through music, you know, and it was really intense. And I feel like you know, like the 90s hip hop era was it was a lot of foundation. It's like foundation for what we're experiencing now. But at the same time, we look at today and the world has different problems now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, you know, social media being a huge one, like that's just changed the game completely. So, you know, the music's going to change, bro. People are going to try and attack success a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be like the fucking best lyricist to stand out anymore. Like if people are feeling your story and you have an audience, however you're going to get it by cloud chasing or doing some stupid shit and getting known for the stupid shit and then getting like 1 million streams each song. Like if that works for him, that works for him. Like it's never going to be back in the 90s where it's like you had to show and prove all the time or you had to battle guys. Like,
man, you could talk about it forever because like
Yeah.
coming from an R&B background,
Right.
to begin with, like R&B back then didn't have an auto-tune or anything, you know?
Right.
And back then, like Usher and Boyz II Men, they had to sing like perfect pitch all the time. It's just crazy to see the change in music.
Yep.
And how like Kev's doing the auto-tune stuff, like and Future, obviously the big artists.
Yep.
Yeah, just crazy to see the change, the shift in music, man. Yeah, rap, R&B.
Yeah. Back in the day, you had to do one take.
One take, yeah.
Like everyone had to do one take. Like a band had to do one take with you because you had only a limited amount of tape to use. And now everything is about like doing different layers, like 100 layers.
Yeah.
And then you could do even just jump in on like on a line that you want to redo and everything. It's really changed the way we see an artist and the way they create and everything. And it's just like I'm just trying to get to like how what was I gonna say? Like
I feel like R&B is like it's more of an ingredient now. Like, and I'm not disrespecting the genre at all because I grew up on Usher, Boyz II Men, fucking you know what I mean. I feel like R&B artists today, I feel like it has to be infused with something else now to really stand out. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. Like
Marshmello, I think the artist is.
It's got to have another element to it.
Yeah.
You know, like alternative R&B, I guess. You know what I mean?
I think that's like in general, like everything can't be the same throughout. It has to show some evolution of some sort.
Has to be,
whether
like,
it be a bad evolution or a good one. You know, it has to show some sort of change. If it's constant throughout, then how's it gonna grow? You know?
Well, you look at all the guys that are still here and the guys that are really like iconic status. They've every project that they do is always like they're always trying to test the waters on something else, or they're always trying to sort of push their sound in a direction where you might not even know if it's gonna work, but because they're gonna do it, it could start a whole new thing. Like,
It's funny you say that, man. Well, that's what I did, you know. Like I started making deep house, you know. Like,
right.
But I just want to make whatever you like. So
Exactly. I think that's what's gonna push you forward. So it's a very diverse topic, and like
there's always different ways to look at it. Really, like it changes the conversation. And to me, I think every school is pretty much nearly the same school but different sounds. Like there's always going to be a mainstream like artist. There's always going to be
there's still
the underground
there's still
artists.
good underground rap. I don't know why people keep saying that hip hop it never died, bro.
Kendrick,
It's
you
just
got Drake,
exactly.
Drake can rap. You can
It may not be like Yeah, it may not be like sonically what they experienced in the 90s, but there is still good hip hop there and good lyricism. I just feel like because society and the world changes and, you know, different things happen, obviously art is going to shift. And like some people are going to stay in that one section that's made them sort of who they are today, and some people can go with it. There's nothing wrong with whatever you choose.
What's your thoughts, Kev? I really want to get to your thoughts because you kind of got the sound of both. In terms of the old school and the new school sound. What's your thoughts in the whole old school versus new school thing?
Yeah, like as you mentioned before, I think like the new school need to respect what, you know, what like the foundations that were laid for us to make music today, basically. And I feel like, you know, everything that happened back then made everything today. And, you know, we need to recognize that. We need to recognize that everything that they did led up to this moment today. So
so many gems, so many.
He a real one.
Yeah, definitely. Like everyone should respect the past, but and everyone should also respect the future as well. Like you can't always be. You don't have to, like. I can't change the way people feel, but you can't always just judge what's new. Yeah. Like hip hop as a whole was judged when it was first came out.
Yeah, no,
and
I agree with what Kev said, but at the same time, I also understand the other guys that like don't know much about the old school. Like there's some people obviously like Kev that know the foundation and have done the research and sort of like they know the history behind like hip hop and where it's at now. But then there's like younger kids that are just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like it's boring, and then they just do their own thing. Like you can't blame them.
You can't blame them.
For being,
you know, at least that they recognize it, at least, or even.
I might not even like it, but you know, I can't. Like if it works for this dude, then fucking, you know, you do your thing, bro. Like
for real, like if you want to be like completely honest, like if you want to backtrack it, like our old school is not the old school that people. You know, it's not even the beginning of hip hop.
Yeah,
you know, we didn't grow up on DJ Cool,
Big Daddy Kane,
Rakim. That's what they grew up on. The rappers that we like, their old school is those guys.
Yeah,
so
everyone's old school is different.
It's like a pattern. You see it with generations coming all the time, and it's the same. I think it's the same debate all the time. So when these guys were coming out, like NWA, like they had their movement too. A lot of people are like, what's happening with hip hop? It's getting all like aggressive because hip hop didn't start gangster and shit. That like it was like quite, you know, it was quite funky. It was funky. It was happy. It was like, you know,
yeah. It was colorful. It was like a hit.
It's colorful, you know. It was it was a positive genre. And then obviously when like the gangster New York golden era, that influence as well, it got a bit more prominent with that sense because that's what people gravitated to at that time. And obviously we're not in a like obviously that shit's still there. Like, you know, there's still gangs and all that, but it's not the main focus. It's not that big of a problem anymore. So like right now, this is what's happening, and people. I think there's so many gems in this convo that you guys have all dropped, and it's really cool to listen to. But it's amazing to see. This just one example, and I'm just gonna pull up Eminem because I have to pull up Eminem in every track. I mean, in every podcast because it's here now. But you ever go to an Eminem concert? I don't know if you guys been to one recently or like you've been to one. Refs, you've been to an Eminem concert. Ello as well. It's crazy to see because you know Eminem's got such a long discography. He's gone from here to now. He's still active. He's dropped an album recently, but his discography goes back to the 99 Slim Shady LP, whatever. When he does a concert, he's one of those artists that he doesn't just perform his like latest hits. He does everything. He does stuff from the Slim Shady LP. He does stuff from Recovery and up until now. I love seeing it because the last Eminem concert I went to, I knew all the words to everything up until the Eminem show. I was like, fuck yeah. But every time something would drop from Recovery, and I'm not dissing, like I was just like, I actually thought it was really cool. The kids weren't singing anything from the Marshall Mathers LP, but every word from Recovery upwards from what's the other ones? Recovery,
Relapse.
Relapse is kind of the transitional point. But they were like, I was like, you know what? I respect that. Like this is an artist I like. It may not be the music that I like anymore from him, but the fact that they're following, of course, they that's their backtrack as well, type thing. It's amazing to see that gap within just one artist as well. There's two different generations listening to that.
100, man. And I feel the same with like Lil Wayne as well, you know?
Yeah, you got the old school Lil Wayne fans.
The mixtape Lil Wayne fans, the rockstar Lil Wayne fans.
I think what Nuts brought up was kind of like that's a good analogy of how the old school versus new school kind of thing is happening.
Yeah.
Because artists like Eminem, if you don't realize it, I guess, like I don't realize it too then, is that his music seems to adapt to what is happening now, or adapt to what people in the probably younger generation, which is kind of like the main consumer of music, are into, and they gravitate to that. So like for some reason, maybe what I gravitate to is what Raph from 20, what you call it, like
true,
20 years old in his 20s gravitated
exactly,
to it more. And like now that's probably the reason why I can't really get into Eminem's new stuff.
New Eminem.
Because
You know what's an even
I'm
funnier
like a fan of that.
example? You know, like there's Twitter trending, like Eminem is cancelled, and majority of it is like teeny Ariana Grande fans. I don't know what he said. Don't tell me because I don't want any spoilers. I'm gonna listen to it later. But like they're all like, "Oh, Eminem, how could he say all this?" And then you got all the people that grew up in hip hop, like, dude, it's not like a rapper that has been saying controversial things since year 2000 says something controversial. It's like, the hell, these guys are so out of touch, like kind of thing. I mean, you realize these people probably don't know that's how Eminem started. If anything, he was worse before. Like he was way worse, the stuff he was saying, than now. And you know, he still goes over the line sometimes, but I think people are just, you know, in a different place.
How do you feel about Kanye's relevance in today's culture from who he was at the start, from where he is now? I feel like he's still managed to keep himself like relevant in a sense where like the younger generation sort of still see him as a very important sort of.
I think he's kind of the same as Eminem. Like I can't really get into his new stuff, but old stuff is
I
when
skipped bipolar. But I love Kid See Ghost. I like Kid See Ghost.
Yeah, it's crazy like that because like the first 3 albums of Kanye was kind of in the same realm of the first 3 albums of Eminem. And it's kind of weird how we gravitate to that, but when they put out new music, that doesn't really gravitate to us. It's kind of weird, but yet I'm just now canceling. I'm just talking when I'm speaking.
All good, bro.
Well, I'm speaking when I'm thinking, but it's just now I'm just thinking now. But why would I gravitate to say some music that is happening now? Like I gravitate to YBM Cordae. And I gravitate to Kendrick and like a bit of Drake and J. Cole as well. But that's similar to the sound there. But then there's all these other stuff that I'm gravitating to now. So it kind of cancels my point of like it's when you listen to it. But I don't know. I think this thing is an ongoing debate. The old school versus new.
We've covered a few things, so it's really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
And it's just one of those things. Like, what's your thoughts out there? Whoever is listening or seeing this episode is what's your thoughts on the new school versus new school? Why is there a debate happening in the first place? Why can't we all be friends and enjoy all types of music?
What's going to be mid school?
Yeah, why can't we just be in the same school? You know, like hip hop. I think I want to add another point before we get to the next topic. Is more so like I think it's more so that hip hop is a very young genre in itself. Like it's so young that people are still trying to figure out where it's going, and even though it's with the number one genre in the world, it's still trying to find itself and changing its lane constantly. And these debates are just going to be constant as well. I'm pretty sure it happens in other genres as well, right? Like rock.
Some guy
you'll have like
the boundaries.
Rock and roll purists too that we were like they don't like what's out. It goes across everything, man. That's the main thing.
I mean, I think these debates are healthy. If these debates are happening, then
it pushes
it
pushes the
right?
genre. Like imagine if hip hop was exactly the same. It'd be so saturated. We'd be listening to the same stuff again and again. Like how much more can you do of a certain style until you get like duplicates of everything type thing. It pushes music. It pushes people's tastes. That's why I think Raph, when you said, but I don't understand why I like it's because your musical tastes. You know, you'll always have a love for what you loved before. Like I'll always love that era, like the same as Ello, 50, Eminem, that era. That'll always be like a time capsule for me. That's my go-to. But I still like Eminem. I'll peep him now and then, and be like, I get excited when something drops. But it's opened so many more things to like come up and like, fuck, have you discovered this new style and shit? There's all these new school rappers, man. I can't think of any top of my head, but
There's Heartbreak Kev, bro.
Yeah, man, that's Heartbreak Kev. Ello C.
I'm
CJ.
All right, that's a good segue. This guy's a good podcaster right here. So let's get back into Zone. So like the
Zone.
completion of Zone, like, and then the release of it, and it's what feedback did you get in terms of Zone? Because personally, for me, Zone is probably one of your best tracks that you've created. And it's more so in the sense that you do. It's kind of like an accumulation of your understanding of where the genre is going and where it has been in the past. Like, and it also, like, because I'm not saying this is your best lyrical song. I'm saying that this is a pivotal track for you because it's showing that you are evolving as an artist.
Yeah. First and foremost, like I always like the first person I play my music to is my missus, right? When I pick her up from work and like I finish mixing something. Shout out to Jasmine. And she's heard a lot of the records before Zoned, and she didn't hate them, but it's just not her preference, right? And then when I played her like the sample of Zone, she's like, "Whoa, like this is like gonna be like I reckon this is gonna be like your best song this year." And I was like, "Why is that?" And she goes, I just like it straight away. Like, it's just got a good vibe. Like, this Kev guy is obviously like doing his thing. Christian killed it on the beat, and I feel like it's just all comes down to preference. And I like to, with me, like, what's important to me in collaborating with people is that like we all got to get something out of this, in a sense where it's like it's gonna make you like a better artist, or it's gonna open doors for the other person. Like, all what we're doing here is like sharing, right? And I feel like when I work with Kev, it's kind of like that's a whole different sort of
something you haven't tapped into before.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's kind of
surprised
like,
me, to be honest.
I'm a tourist in this, like, not a tourist in the sense where I don't know anything. Like, I've got my idea of it, but to see some other person work a totally different way to how I would work is like inspiring, because it's like, holy fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really like, I never really had a proper handle on like melodic rap. I knew what it was. I knew I could do like here and, you know, stuff here and there, but the way he attacks a record is kind of like, it's completely different to mine. So you take something out of it, and then he learns from me, and it's just kind of like, oh, is that how Ella does it? Like, that's, you know, I didn't expect it like that as well. You know what I mean?
Just saying, like, it pushed me as well. I never used to make much the wavy trap stuff, and like I said, I was listening to his stuff. I'm like, oh man, I got to get into this. And I got it.
It was funny because we had a conversation when the sample came out, and then me and Christian were just like, fuck, man, these new dudes are on some shit.
We're talking about it. Me and Ella are talking about it.
When we heard Kev's verse, we were just like, what the fuck? As soon as I got it, I was like, yo, CJ, you gotta hear this.
You can see that I heard the difference too. When it came up, I was like, oh, like the direction changed.
We were like, what the fuck? And then CJ's...
Well, he made it easy for me though, like, because he, you know, stepped into my world of like wavy stuff, so it was just really effortless. And like, I really appreciate like you stepping into like my realm, and you fucking killed it, man. Like, it was such, I reckon it's such a great track. Like, I'm being biased here because
it was fun. It was fun. It was so organic. Like, nobody was...
Kev, you got to backtrack now into Ella's world now.
He actually asked me the other week, like a month ago, like, because we talk on the regs, like, you know, it's just good to have a, like, you know, share insights. Yeah, and there's a few artists that like I've managed to sort of link with. That's sort of like up and coming, where it's like, you know, we just talk on the regular and we exchange music, and it's never like you do this, I do that. It's kind of like, oh, what do you think of this? Or, you know, just advice. And then Kevin was like, yo, like, I got to hit up some bars with you, and I'm like, bro,
that's mad.
Nice. I got to do some more fucking, you know, wavy shit with you. So it's kind of like, so it creates a relationship in a sense where like creativity can be pushed in so many different directions from the people you work with.
Yeah, man. The cool thing about it, like when I first heard it, is that, you know, I'm all for an Ello ripping into like an MC type of song, you know? Right. I'm all into that, and I'm going to be like, you know what, this is a fucking good song. Yeah. But then when I first heard this song, I was like, you know what, this is kind of like the one that you should push and put your energy into, because this has the potential to take you to the next level. So everyone else, you have a wider reach to hear you rip into other MCs, you know? Not just me and the hip hop people around me. It's just that I think this is like kind of like everyone's like, every artist has a breakthrough moment type of thing. And this song, if treated right and pushed to the right demographics and stuff, you could actually break through.
Yeah. Well, what I did was I actually like paid Submit Hub to like sort of review the record. and I got a lot of feedback, like honest feedback that it was really beneficial. Like most of them said that it was a really good, like really nice record, a really good tune, really good, like sort of like what do you call that, trap pop sort of
track or something.
Yeah, and I appreciate a lot of that. And some people said that like what did they say, like the spacing of it, like it needed to breathe more, or like just all
structure wise, I think they said there was
Exactly.
some issues with structure, which I can kind of understand from
Yeah.
making the beat.
And that's the one thing that you got to sort of hang on to as an artist, is that like, yes, you've got your friends that support you, but it's also very important to hear a stranger's complete review.
Their
on,
friends
like,
wouldn't say that. Like, well, they
your
would.
friends wouldn't say that shit.
Not as much, yeah. It's
And
good
then
to get
you get that
constructive-
information, so that next time you hop in the studio and you try to create something, you've got that in mind, that you want to progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
It's good that
overall,
you had that mentality, because some artists would be like, you know what, I'm gonna redo it
yeah.
and use that feedback to redo the certain track.
I mean, like that's just like, fuck, bro. You got to be able to be prepared to fucking fail, bro. Like, you know.
Well, the
You
next
might-
track you can take
exactly.
it all in.
You
Yeah.
make.
I don't
10
think this is a fail though. I think
Yeah.
No. This I feel like every track I do is like you get something out of it.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you pump like 50 tracks, and like only 10 of those will fucking probably resonate bigger than the other, you know, sort of 40 tracks.
Yeah.
But the fact that you went through the 50 tracks and you learned and you put it out there, and you were confident enough to sort of hear people's feedback and sort of learn from what people thought of the record, it will push you forward into like sort of knowing what you want to get out of the next opportunity you get.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective
Yeah,
on
man.
it. Like, fuck it, bro. Like, you know, you're going to put out shit that some people are going to hate, some people might not feel, and then you might put out a record the next day that other people might feel.
Yep.
Like, that's just, you know, if you can do that as an artist, then you're growing, you know what I mean? It's just all about the content, bro.
Definitely, like, content is really key in terms of everything.
At the end of the day, you can dress yourself or whatnot and paint your picture and sort of walk around with the billboard and social media and sell yourself. I don't mind that, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's your talent that's gonna push you, bro. Like, at the end of the day, if that's like in check, and that you know that you realize, like, I read this thing. I think you guys would have seen it. Like, the day you realize that you suck is like one of those days where like the whole world opens up to you, because once you realize that you're not as good as what you think, and that there's always room for you to progress and grow and learn, you're going to take so much more out of that. You know what I mean? Because you're not consistently needing people's validation to sort of just be like, hey, you're awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like, yeah, this is a good record, but what can I do for the next record? You know what I mean? Like, this sounds great, but like, you know, let's see what I got next. You know what I mean? And that's just, you're just going to keep going. And next thing you know, you're like fucking trap star famous.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
What have you been smoking today? You've been dropping a lot of gems today.
No, seriously. I'm
crazy.
just sweating, bro.
You're crazy, man.
Just sweating, bro.
I just want to do one more random topic before we head into the end of the show.
Oh shit.
Yeah. We'll just
I was
wrap it
hearing
up
you
after that.
having a conversation with Kev about the body of work and how it used to be an album
All right,
of
yeah.
a certain amount of tracks,
Okay.
and now it's gone to another amount of tracks now. So tell me what conversation were you having before the podcast?
Oh no, we were just discussing like for this era of time, like what the ideal track listing, because I've noticed a pattern now with a lot of artists releasing like 2 to 3 track
Yeah, the
EPs.
2-packs and the 3-packs. Yeah.
2-3 pack EPs. And Kev was discussing that with me, where he was saying, yeah, that's what I'm planning to do with 9-3 and Dill.
Yeah.
And they were going to package it like in a sense where it all cohesively ties in. But because there's a limited amount of content, they can focus more on each sort of, you know,
Yeah.
track. I think that's what we were discussing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying that nowadays, like, the best way to present a body of work
Mm-hmm.
for an underground artist or someone that's coming up or independent
Yeah.
is to do 3 to 4 tracks or
Yeah.
EP or packs,
What do you
if
reckon?
you want to call it.
Yeah, no, I agree with them with their conversation. Like, I think the general, just the, like with the social media around these days, there's so much content to be listened to. So you got to kind of capture everyone's attention, and you only have a short amount of time to do that.
Yeah.
So like Kev's doing, he's got that Triller thing going on. It's a good, platform to showcase your stuff quickly. With EPs, you got to have small EPs because people don't have time to listen these days to a long ass album. So
Yeah.
What you think is like forget new school, old school, and like what it used to be and what it is now. What do you think is the ideal amount of tracks in an album? Is it the 18 or is it the 9?
Well, there's different ways to play it. I've always grown up to knowing that like you put out the mixtape first, build the hype, you do a couple of freestyles, and you know sort of test the waters, and then you build it up to your album, which will probably be like 5 or 10 of your like best original pieces, and then so it kind of like sort of rolls into that big thing, and then like I don't know, some dudes just get like real extra and do like 2 albums, like double-sided.
Chris Brown,
like you know, just
44 tracks.
I feel like a good album would for me, running time wise, is like I don't know, like
40 minutes,
something like that. Like, yeah, maybe.
I think I'm a big fan of 9-track albums.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the fucking good music drops that came out. They were like 7 or 8
tracks
right?
each, wasn't it, or something? 8.
Charles, don't talk while you're doing that thing.
Oh, sorry.
All right, but like yes,
Sorry, man.
I'm a big fan of 9-track albums, like maybe like the old school stuff from like Thriller and all that, and then you got the all of Bruno Mars's shit is like that too.
Yeah.
Illmatic, it was like a short album as well.
Short albums.
I just feel a bit more connected to a short, it's not a short album. It's more so like a half an hour to a 40-minute album.
What if a guy like like it's 1 minute, right, for a video on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
He just does a whole like EP of like 1 minute.
It's gonna
songs.
happen.
And then it's like,
We're joking about this now.
Yeah.
We're having a good laugh about it now,
Some
but it's
dude's
gonna happen.
Some dude's gonna do
Hey,
it.
that could be
And
you,
it's just
man.
What's that, like 10
Legit,
second
make it
track?
Insta.
Then
Yeah.
it changes to another track.
That's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like
New vibes.
Like someone's gonna make an Insta album.
Do it.
Oh, you heard it here first.
It's an
That could be
Insta
you
album.
guys,
It
man.
could be a whole new app.
The replays on that would stack the streams, I reckon.
All right, Ella, that's your next one.
Hello, 1
Yeah,
minute,
it's gonna
1
be-
minute.
It's gonna be Nats's gonna have an
59
Insta
second
album.
song.
That's easy, man.
It's like, oh, you wanted a track, right? I'm gonna do an Insta album. 1 minute, 10 tracks.
I mean, you can drop a whole music video on IGTV now. I mean,
definitely.
some people have picked that up. Well, I still like the traditional YouTube drop.
I think YouTube will always be the main source where you could drop music video. I think like as much as IGTV will continue to grow, I think YouTube will continue to be the main source of video.
What do you reckon, Kev?
Yeah, I think like people's attention spans are getting like shorter. So it seems like these 3 to 4, like 5-track projects are just like they hit the spot because, like as CJ was saying, like people don't have enough time in their life to like, you know, sit through like, let's say like a fucking 12-song album and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I just feel like these short projects, yeah, like even songs are getting shorter. Like like
3 minutes now.
even 2 minutes, like
Yeah.
2-minute songs where it's just like literally like the hook
verse,
and the verse, and then it would just
Wasn't like Gucci Gang by Lil Pump like one of the shortest songs to
Yeah,
reach
it was
like
like
a certain
2 minutes 30 maybe.
Nah,
Yeah.
what about that Old Town Road guy? Lil.
Was that a short track?
That was like a minute something, bro.
bag. And
Yeah,
was a
but,
minute.
what's your thoughts, Nats, on the what's your ideal track number?
50.
There's a lot of Eminem stuff.
50 tracks, 3-album trilogy.
You're an Eminem fan. A lot of Eminem tracks are about 18 to 20.
It's hard
right?
to say. Like, I wouldn't like a long Eminem album. Like Kamikaze, when he dropped it, was enough. Like, I didn't want any more. Like, that was enough for that. There was an era where like I felt long albums were the thing, and you know, it was really good to have a larger body of work. But like you guys said, it's all about the consumption these days. There's so much out there, especially I think if you're an artist, you got to approach it like how everyone is. Like if you're looking at everything, like not just music, how you push your stuff, it's got to be consistent as well. I think that's why like Drake, well, when Drake was having his run, he and not just Drake, like a lot of artists, they just push out singles. Ello told me this. You told me this last year, bro. It's like, nah, don't bother with like, you know, making a massive mixtape and all that. Like, just put tracks out there in a consistent basis, once a month, once a week or something. Because you know, actually, this is pretty dope. There's a rapper. He's an Italian guy. Have you heard of no, you know Russ, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know much of his music, but I listened to a podcast with him and Joe Budden, and he's been tackling it for a decade, and he was dropping this guy's work ethic. I respect it so much. I don't really dig his music, but he was basically dropping like a mixtape
Every
month
day.
for a year. Or not, like he just dropped so much shit, and he wasn't getting like the traction that he wanted per se. But what he noticed, he saw a formula. Every time he dropped like a massive like 20-track mixtape on SoundCloud, the most popular track would always be the first one because people would just tap into it. And then eventually it will trickle down and get lower and lower towards the end. So he's like, you know what, fuck it. The music's not the problem. The work ethic is definitely not the problem. It's my approach. It's my my targeting, you know? Like maybe if I just like do one dope album and then release a track a day or a track a week. If he's dropping mixtapes a month, what's to stop him from dropping each track as a single every day if that's how much he has? And from then he realized like every time he dropped, each song was getting its proper like exposure. Because like you guys said, you get a mixtape, you're like, fuck, I can't be fucked, man. Like I'll listen to the first 2 tracks and I'll judge the artist from that. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. And if like the first few tracks I'm not digging, I might miss a few gems at the end. But by then I'll probably moved on to another tape or something. That's something that's worth looking at. To be honest, I think that's really important. And just a bit of knowledge, just a bit of insight.
I like that.
So you reckon a standard amount in your taste would be like
short, bro?
15?
Short. But
yeah,
I think like
short.
But I think established artists, they have the luxury to do an album. They can do it however the fuck they want because they're known.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like if you're underground, man, if you're pushing out mixtapes, it's hard to get the views on that, you know? Like, and always put your best track, not the first track on the mixtape. Would I notice? Because like for me, like it's kind of good being in the fan side of things. Like I'm not doing music, but I'm still like with it, man. Like we did music, we tried, we pushed our own shit back then. So I know the mechanics behind it,
formula.
And like I love the marketing side. I still geek out over that shit, and I love to see how artists blow up. And putting your first track at the start, like straight away, the single, put it like first track if you can. Treat it like that because like that's the one that you're pushing. If you can get them right at the start, they'll be like, fuck, let me keep going. And then they're going to keep trickling. And that's how Russ got big. Apparently, he didn't blow up until like 10 years later. And then when people really fucked with a few, like 4 out of his 100 singles in a year, people went back. It's like catching Game of Thrones at season 7, and then you're like, hey, this is a good show. I'm gonna watch like from season 1 now. Yeah, bang. He's got like so much material, so much content that's already out there. It was inevitable. He's like, nah, it's GG. This guy's like, fuck, he's made it, you know. And that's like, I'm giving props to the guy. I don't even like him, but I respect his formula. I was like, fuck, he figured it out. He figured it out in the climate and where he was
like just,
and that might not always work, but right now I think that's how it's working, and it's going to evolve again when there's new platforms, when there's new music, new things happening. And I reckon you guys are going the right way. Like you guys are pumping, like, you know, singles out of nowhere. Ello, I don't know how many singles you did last year. All I got to say, just keep going, man. Just keep dropping it and put your best work out quickly. That. And use all the, like how Kev, I just downloaded that Triller thing. I didn't even know about this shit. That's fucking dope, man. Use that shit. No, I'm not even kidding. Put your shit on as many platforms as you can. Because, you can put something on Instagram. You can put something on TikTok. They're going to be different markets there. Like, if you put on Instagram, you're only going to get the Instagram people. And vice versa. Put the whole video on IGTV. Like, YouTube is the traditional source. But if you got on IGTV, there's a whole... You know, another thing, Facebook, like people say Facebook's dead. I post my Cheatcoders shit on my Facebook because I know my family's going to see it. My aunties and uncles, they don't even know what Instagram is or Spotify and shit. But when they're on Facebook, they're like, oh shit, Nathan's doing podcasts now. And it works, you know. So I think, definitely, especially for yourself, Kev and Ello, since you guys are really on that, pushing your brand out there, so much potential, guys. And just keep dropping
100%.
gems as quickly and consistent as possible. I think I went off track.
And that has
I don't
been
even know what
another
I'm talking
episode
about
of Nats, the marketing advisor.
I took a lot out of it, man.
Social media guru of Nats Blazing.
I geek out, bro. I YouTube all day. That's why I'm just like, I geek out with these, like watching these YouTube how-to videos and stuff. Anyway, that's the approach we're taking as well anyway with this podcast. And once again, you know, we want to push the platform forward and we can all rise up together that way, you know. Things haven't changed. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.